Welcome to EIPIP meeting 25. I'm Pooja Ranjan. I'm going to share the agenda in the chat. So the first item on agenda is discuss the content to populate the ETH1O spec repo with useful information on the ETH1O chain and the possibility of creating a bounty. So we discussed this in the earlier meeting. And as I mentioned then that the cat herders were in touch of Ethereum.org people, and we were trying to support them with the network upgrade page yesterday. And he left some comments. He wanted to join, but unfortunately he had a conflict and he could not be here today. But he shared some thoughts that like not duplicating the effort kind of thing. So there are something which is already available on their website and something that we are planning to have on at 1.0 spec repo. So if we can just sort out what things are missing, what we would want to have it here, then they would be happy to, point back to the at 1.0 spec repo for whatever comment and thoughts on that.
Okay.
Who is this? Or is the I missed the first part of what group you're talking about with the website? Is it the
Ethereum.
The Ethereum.org team? Okay.
Yeah, I think that. So this is the stuff that Sam talked about, right? Or is this a little bit different?
So he left a comment, a detailed comment.
Okay, let me just see it real quick. I already read part of it, but I didn't read the second part entirely.
So there are three sections basically we are talking about here. One section is like Ethereum wiki, which is not very well maintained. So they are owning that. They said that they would be taking JSON RPC from there and try to update that information and have it on ethereum.org website. That is one option. And if we want that to be on Ethereum 1.0 spec repo, they are willing to help. So it's on us. How do we want to proceed? Like I believe in earlier meeting, we discussed that we would want to have some developers related doc on Ethereum 1.0 spec repo so that client development team or any new person who would like to understand how, what are the specs for clients, they could find it here. So if we want to have this as a canonical resource, they are willing to contribute.
I think for the JSON RPC spec specifically, we need to have a conversation with Thomas from Nethermind because I think, and maybe Micah saw this or Light Client saw this in the ETH-R&D Discord, maybe even someone else like James in the chat. I think they're doing a call on this every other week or something.
Yeah, I just got out of that call.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Do you think they would have an opinion on this?
Yes, that's what they're planning on. The goal of that group is tentatively, this is a first meeting, the goal of the group, though, sounds like they want to clearly specify the JSON RPC standard across the clients and get them into sync, basically. And so that is a project that they are actively working towards. This is a brand new group, so it's always an unknown, how effective a new group is going to be, but that is at least their plan.
Yeah, let's just ask them where they want it. I'm going to guess they're going to do GitHub because then they can do pull request more easily. And the 1.0 specs repo just seems like a better place in my opinion. But yeah, let me see. Adding a section and then linking to the one. Oh, I see. So I think Sam is wanting to have like a section on it like in the Ethereum.org site, but that's not the canonical source necessarily. It links to GitHub. Is that kind of what he's getting at?
It's other way around. If we want to have canonical source as H1.o spec repo, we will have it, but they will point it to this repo for new people reaching out.
I missed most of that. Am I the only one that missed? She
No.
broke up.
Yeah, you
Me
broke
too.
up a little bit, Pooja. If you could repeat the last part.
Okay, is it better now? I hope.
Yes.
So the idea, it's other way around. If we want to have canonical tag at 1.4 spec repo, we will have it, but they will point it towards this repo for new people reaching out at Ethereum.org.
Interesting. Okay.
You mean that they'll point the website, ETH.org site, to the ETH specs repo?
Opposite,
The opposite.
I think.
I couldn't understand that, Pooja. I think
Okay,
your internet might be going slowly or something. I'm confused by the not the pronouns, but the order of the nouns.
Yeah, I think what's happening is Ethereum.org wants to host the spec, and then they want our ETH 1.0
Some
specs.
lag.
Oh, go ahead, Pooja. I think we might have lost Pooja temporarily.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
here we
still
Oh, no, it's
confused
in
on the
chat now.
direction.
It's in chat now.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
I think like there is some lag.
The ETH 1.0 specs or ETH?
Yes, specs or the Ethereum.org ETH 1.0 page. Oh, I like that
Okay.
idea.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that'd be great. There's a couple of things that have floated around that are like this, like the JSON RPC spec, like ETH 65, I think we're on, or ETH 67, like the networks specification.
The yellow
some
paper.
testing, the yellow paper, some testing framework stuff, which came up over the week. Any kind of like neutral interclient communication standard would be nice to fit under there, and we can get the right people to have permissions, because it'll be less political for them to be. They don't have to be EIP editors to be able to work on the network spec or whatever, because those people are usually kind of different.
Okay, I think that for the next piece, yeah, we would have to list what we want on the ETH 1.0 spec, page. That makes sense. The first step is to talk to Thomas about where we think they want it and if they think this is a good idea, and then we'll give our opinion too and get back to Sam. I think is the best way to move forward with this piece of the agenda for the JSON RPC spec. Oh, that's good that they're willing to help. Yeah. And Pooja, since your audio's cutting in and out, I can take over the next part if you want.
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay, so the next one is network upgrade information from the comment. I think because we're doing all of these. Okay. So Sam spoke with Pooja about this. It'd be great to collaborate to improve the Ethereum.org history page with network upgrade information, because there is pieces missing, including a a section that says where to look for the latest stuff on that. So, and where to follow for updates. So like I can see the ethereum.org/history page having like, what's it called? Having like a list of network upgrades, and then also where the blog posts were, like combined with the blog post at ethereum.org, and like a chart and like the block number, and then a link to the ETH 1.0 specs repo where we have retrospectives and stuff on it.
Yeah. That sounds like a great hybrid of like what information goes where.
Okay.
And in there, you said you included the list of EIPs included in each hard fork. Is that correct?
Yeah, that'd be another good thing to put in there. It'd be like a little chart or something.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that I think is missing.
And that part should be in the specs repo, I'd say, and then the website can have most of the rest of it.
Yeah, the website can have a list of the EIPs once it's final, but the ETH 1.0 specs repo would be the canonical source, and then the ethereum.org would both point to it but have a list of the summary. That's like a trend I think we'll be seeing as long as Sam's okay with it. And then also spoke to Pooja about EIP information, so summaries, list of links, and discussion and resources. So the page right now just goes over what an EIP is, how to participate, in a history of EIPs. Oh, it has the list of EIP editors, and it's incredibly outdated. Okay, so the goal here would not to be replace that, but merely supplement the material with resources from the community. As an example, the content of ECH Curates on 1559 provides a large amount of additional context versus the EIP itself. Okay, so bringing resources like that together might make sense. I'd have to think about this more.
There has been a little bit of a gap of like what to do with the articles that Tim has written basically, and Micah as well. Like some of the more like why we're doing something and less of the spec kind of idea. So some of that might fit well.
There's definitely, I think, a missing piece, exactly as James just said, where you've got the spec, which is a technical specification. It's got a motivation section, but that's meant to be, just like a brief little thing just to get people in the mood sort of thing, like just to rile them up a little bit. It's not meant to be like an argumentative essay. It's not meant to be like an opinion piece. The motivation section is just like, hey, here's some things that this would be useful for. Like here's a short list of uses, or here's a few benefits we get by implementing this. Meanwhile, of course, along with the EIP, there's also the opinion pieces. There's the user stories. There's the essays. There's the analyses that are being done. EIP is 1559 is a great example of this because we have a ton of this stuff. And there's currently no place to put that. Right now, Tim just has a HackMD article or page that he's curating that's just a
Did we lose Micah?
Yes.
Yeah, we lost Micah. Okay, but I think the summary of what Micah was saying, unless, Micah, are you back? Oh, okay.
Am I back?
You just got back.
Me.
You're back.
You're back now.
Okay. Where did I cut off there?
You were talking about what was missing, or the fact that there were definitely some things that were missing, and there were articles that were written that provided supplemental information that could need to go somewhere.
Yeah, that's basically it. We've got EIP 1559, it's a great example of this. We've got tons of supplemental information and nowhere to put it. And so we can link people to it, of course, when we have a channel and we have people coming in and talking to it, but there's no like place that people can know to go to read more about any supplemental information about an EIP, because we want to keep that out of the EIP itself, because the EIP is a technical document. But we don't have somewhere else to send the person to say, hey, if you ever want to know more like opinion stuff on an EIP, go here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So that is the thing that we are proposing here. I'm going to share the link in the chat. So this is a place, I mean, like on the Ethereum Cat Herder website, we are trying to curate the list of resources for any EIP under discussion. For example, right now we have 4 EIPs, 1559, 2938, EVM 384, and all those stuff. So whatever resources, like other than the EIP, the Ethmagician forum, like blogs published by you and others, we just kind of curate it and keep it there. And the idea here is that that should be, I mean, if we can make it publicly available with the help of ethereum.org people. So yeah, they are thinking in this direction and looking for some thoughts like if this is something good that we should be doing.
Moving the resources from Cat Herder's website to ethereum.org makes sense to me because that consolidates information from one less source, because no one really goes to our website, or if they do, they just want to know about the cat herders. And if we start trying to make it an information hub, that's going to be like the 7th information hub. So although we should have something on our site about like stuff like hard forks and where to find information, it should funnel to like the EIP's website or ethereum.org or the ETH 1.0 specs repo, in my opinion. So it's like an index more than a listing.
Right, and another benefit that we thought of it, like in Cat Herders, it is with us only if we update that is getting updated. But if it is there on the ethereum.org, even if some educational resource is missing, people can simply create a pull request and add it over there.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, that works for me. I didn't know about this page, so I think this page basically is what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we wanted to share here is like we are already doing this curation of resources, but it's not publicly available. So if ethereum.org either point it towards us or maybe have a move this section entirely on that page, would be readily available for people.
Yeah, I'm in favor of moving entirely to that page and having our site point to it.
Okay.
But I want to hear other people's opinions too, obviously.
What is our in that context?
Cat Herders page.
Okay.
Okay, we will bring it in Cat Herders meeting as well and then see. But from this meeting, I believe that people are having being positive towards moving the entire thing to the ethereum.org. Yeah, that's all 3 points that we discussed yesterday, and we wanted to mention it here.
I'll be honest, I'm having so many meetings this week. I thought this was the Cat Herder meeting until like a minute ago. Anyways, I think we're done with that topic.
Before we move on, I just wanted to have some clarity on the next step, like who, what, when kind of thing. As per my understanding, James are listing resources that we would want to have on eth1.o spec repo. And then if people think that we should have a meeting with ethereum.org team and with Nethermind for JSON RPC thing, we can arrange for that, or how do we want to proceed about it? Like in the next meeting, we'll discuss this, or we'll have a separate meeting for this particular topic.
My opinion is for the JSON RPC, let's try to keep that asynchronous and text-based in the All Core Devs channel or with a private conversation with Thomas. Actually, there's about to be a Discord channel created for this RPC spec. It's going to be in the ETH1 section of the ETH R&D Discord likely, and I'll be creating that in the next hour. So that'll be one of the first discussion topics in there. And if we need a call, we can have one, but let's try to just talk it out in there first. And then what do people think of that?
I like it.
Network upgrade information section, that's going to be a James thing mostly.
Yep.
So just coordinate with James, and then for EIP information, that'll be at the Cat Herders meeting.
Cool.
And as far as me writing up a list about what should and shouldn't be there. I like this sort of organic, the stuff that should be there seems to be finding its way, and not having to dictate it. I think we'll end up making better participation from those involved who want to bring stuff to the repository.
I agree after the initial pulling of the data. I think we need to be dictatorly or whatever on the initial content that's on there, and then afterwards have it be organic, because otherwise people won't know a direction or examples.
Yeah, that makes sense. We can do that.
And there was another sub part of this item was like a possibility of creating bounty. I'm not sure if this is something that we will consider on later part when we get more clarity on how much effort has to be put on the at-one spec repo. Am I correct to think like that?
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of evolving, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on what gets left out from these groups that are working on stuff.
Okay. Okay, sounds good to me. So moving on to the next item. The next item is contracting out to someone to move the bot to GitHub Action. So it's a link. If you click the link, it's coming up from the Discord conversation. A few meetings ago, we discussed about looking into contracting out to someone to move the bot to GitHub Actions. But I'm not sure if something happened or like we had some decision on that. So on the request of Micah comment, I have added it to the agenda. So yeah. Micah, if you would like to add things, or James.
Sure. Just for anybody who's not aware, we have a auto merge bot. It goes up and down, has bugs, needs fixes like any other piece of code. Nick was the original author of it, and he is very busy with other things and doesn't work on the EIP group really anymore. And so it'd be nice if we had a new owner. And basically Nick said, this should really be moved to GitHub Actions. I agree, GitHub Actions are the perfect place for it. GitHub Actions did not exist when he wrote it back in the day. So it's a new tool that we have that just makes this a lot easier for group maintenance, because anyone who can see the repo can see the action and tune it and play with it, and it's obvious to anyone who uses GitHub. So generally a good thing to do. As far as contracting, this is one of those tasks that is really easy to outsource because it doesn't require really any much knowledge of like Ethereum. You just say, hey, we've got this tool here, it's written in Python, it's very short. We need someone who can convert it into a GitHub action. So that's why I thought that if there's something to outsource, this would be a good thing to do so.
I think this is a good idea. I think that there's a bigger issue around funding that'll be a completely different topic in today's meeting if we have time, or a different one once I have more updates on that. But I think this is a important enough change that we should ask the cat herders for funding for it now that their treasury has gotten bigger from the price increase, especially if we're going to be paying out an ETH or something like that. But we'll have to talk to the rest of the cat herders about that. So that should be on the agenda for their meeting. And then if that is approved for funding from the cat herders, we could do Gitcoin, or I'd prefer Gitcoin, but we don't have to use Gitcoin for it.
Today I learned cat herders have money.
Cool.
Yeah, but I believe getting an estimate of what amount of funding or the effort that we are looking for here would be, helpful.
Yeah, that would be helpful for a cat herder's decision. Micah, do you have any ideas, or anybody else in the call? Estimating software is the hardest job in the world. It's so relative to building an Ethereum client, this is a trivial task. Relative, yeah. I mean, this is one of those things, like, it depends on the skill level you hire and whether the person already has at least some knowledge of how this works. Like, if you were to hire like Client or me, it would be an easier job than if you hired someone stranger. But I think like Client and me, both are going to be more expensive and have little time available. If anyone wants to interrupt me, please do.
If there was like if you sat down and like spent a number of days on this, do you have like a sense of rough how many days that would be?
So for me, I've used GitHub Actions all at one time, and I use basically an off-the-shelf action, and it took me, a few hours to figure out how to use GitHub Actions, how to make the off-the-shelf action work, which is like pick from a marketplace, fill in my things, and then a couple hours to fix it because it didn't work on the first try, of course. This would be a more complex GitHub action in that it's got custom code, but I think GitHub Actions can run basically any language. So you can run Python, you can run JavaScript, whatever. And so whoever you hire would presumably work in a language they're familiar with. And so if they already know GitHub Actions and they already know their language, I want to say days to MVP and then another week or two for testing. But this is really off the cuff, and do not hold me to that at all.
Yeah, I would say if someone really knows Python and GitHub Actions and they decide to take this, I think a week for all of it sounds more accurate if you really know your stuff.
Use Hudson's prediction, not mine. I will not be held accountable.
It would be nice if there was some expectation of maintenance for maybe at least a couple weeks. So when someone finds something a week later, we have someone to talk to. But that wouldn't be like a lot of time. It would just be like, hey.
Like a little bit of on-call after the fact, like a number of hours of on-call support or whatever.
Yeah,
or you can reach out to the person. Like, ideally, the longer term, the better, I think, because it's like for example, we just ran into a bug with like the most recent failure of the bot was we added the review status a while ago, and for the first time, someone tried to submit a PR against their own their own EIP that was in review. And that's like a month or two later, and the bot just broke. Like it just choked on that entirely. And so ideally, we'd have someone that we can call up and we better on a retainer or whatever that means, where you can say, hey, there's a bug, you're looking for some more work. That being said, once in GitHub Actions, I think it'll be easier for us to swap out people to work on it. So if they're not available, we can find someone else.
The average developer salary, according to the first post page in Google for a Python developer, is $110,000 per year. Therefore, if we were to take math and do math, then that's hard. We would do $110,000 per year divided by 12, divided by 40, divided by
$53 an hour.
57, I think. I did salary divided by 12 divided by 4 divided by 40.
Oh, that's because there's not 4 weeks in a month.
Yeah, I'm doing just 4 weeks a month.
If you do divide by 2080, that gives you hourly rate from annual.
Oh, cool.
So it's about 53.
Okay, $53 an hour. So it's $53 an hour, and let's say we can be a little liberal with this and say 2 weeks of work. So, or we can get the hourly rate first. That's like a good starting thing. So $57 an hour, and then we can say 2 weeks of work to implement and write documentation for it, and then 1 week of service with the idea that we can also hire them again for more larger changes.
Sounds like as good of an estimate of their software project as any.
So we're at, for 2 weeks, that's $4,583. So 2 weeks is 4,583, and then so that would mean 1 week is wait, oh, I did divided by 1. That's not a thing. 2291. So altogether that would be let's say $7,000 to round up, but it's 6,874.
Something between 6 to 10K would be an ideal one for, if we want to go ahead with this thing. But I mean, I don't know. It would be my personal preference. Like people who are already involved here should go ahead with that. But what do people think? Should we proceed with some kind of Gitcoin bounty or try to reach out people who are already engaged here?
I like the idea of setting a precedent for a Gitcoin bounty, because that could attract more people to both EIP stuff, cat herders, Ethereum in general. I always like the idea of bringing brand new people in, especially if we're charging this much for someone that's more Python than Ethereum.
You're likely to get someone pretty good because I doubt it'll be like full-time every day that they have to do all of this.
Yeah, we would give them like a month to do it or something weird. Like,
Yeah.
or yeah, we'd give them like
Yeah,
at
if
least
there
a
was
month.
like that would be pretty reasonable then.
Yeah, and this also, so me trying to fund EIP things for the future from different organizations, if we can set a precedent of we might make another Gnosis safe or community fund for EIP editors and for related EIP related tasks, we can say we've already done this once and it worked.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, then I will bring it up in the Cat Herders meeting, and we'll see how much progress we make over there, and then bring back the decision to the next EIPIP meeting on whatever updates we have.
I'm going to put the salary estimates as a comment in the today's meeting.
Sure, I'll add that. Okay. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is a single source of truth for EIP. I guess Brent is working on that.
Yeah, I've haven't had a lot of time to work on this yet, and I think I've been trying to educate myself around what all the sources of information are, and I think I'm getting out of hand and getting lost. But so I think the first task I'm going to focus on doing is just, there's two sources of truth. Evidently, there's the eip.ethereum.org, and there's also ethereum.org/EIP, and the latter is only referenced by a few people on the internet, while the former seems to be by far who everyone points to. And so I'm just going to focus on getting the ethereum.org/EIPs, get that to redirect to the eip.ethereum.org, and that just at least do that first and just focus on that task. So does anyone else have any other thoughts on that?
I think that is the current situation, like with ethereum.org/EIPs, that is just an overview page, and it actually points towards the eips.ethereum.org.
Okay, I'll look into that some more. So yeah, I got to find some more time to work on some of this stuff. So still working on it.
Okay. Okay. So moving on, the next item is EIP status change update. Like the cat herders have been working with EIP editors, EIP authors for the proposals which are in a draft status, or maybe not in the correct status, even if it is in like in review, it is, even if it is in like last call, it is more than a month or so. So we are trying to reach out to those authors and asking them to change their status. So we made some progress. I think at least 3 of the EIPs we closed last week. I mean, closed, by close, I mean that it was in draft status. Now they are in review. And for Berlin EIP, I think there are 3 EIPs which are still in draft, and that they need to move into review status. If there is no change done by the author this week, we will be creating a pull request to change it to review. The EIPs are EIP 2718, EIP 2929, and EIP 2315. All these 3 are in draft, so we would like to have that in review. Other than that, with the help of PEEP and EIP series, we interacted with quite a few authors, and we suggested them to make pull request to move on their EIP from draft to review. But there are quite a few which hasn't created any pull request yet. If they are not done by the end of next week, cat herders will be reaching out to them and try to create a pull request to change the status. Yeah, that's the update here. Hello.
I'm excited for the cleanup.
Oh, thank you. I thought I lost my internet or what?
No, I
Hey,
heard you.
yeah.
I heard you at least.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Micah. I have seen that you have already closed this thing. So yes, I'm happy to contribute here. I'm also looking forward. Like many EIPs are in still draft status. When I look at it, I still get confused why they are there, even if they are not active for over 2 years. So yes. Okay, moving on to the last item, that is a review action item from the previous meeting. There are one decision and 2 action items. So removed linked EIPs on EIP1 that are dead. I have already created a pull request to remove this EIPs which are not active right now. They were just from the pull request. They never made it to the EIPs.ethereum.org. And the pull request number is 3218. So Micah, Light Client, Hudson, all editors, if they would want to give it a look, and yes, we can close that if there's nothing wrong with it. And then next 2 action items where James is collecting ideas for single source of truth, which he will report on the next meeting. And James would be working on hard fork information into eth1.spec repo. So I think James, yeah, James would be working on this and
We have the Berlin specification is on the website. There, the previous hard forks are not there yet, and I think we have a pretty good list now of stuff that we're thinking about adding to the repo. So I'm pretty happy with where that's progressing.
Yeah, that's really good. And the next one is Edson to work on the EIP editor's rules and responsibilities block. I thought I saw Edson today in the meeting.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I actually forgot about this item. I'll try to get it done this week.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So that's all from the agenda that were added here. If people have any more topic
Ooh.
that,
Yeah, I added an item. Sorry to interrupt.
oh no, I'll just refresh it.
Funding for EIP editors, etc. I'm starting to have more of an idea of how to do this based on other models. We have a few different options. I think, has everyone seen Open Grants IO? I'm posting the link here. Wait a second, not open. Is it Open? No. Never mind. Ignore that link. It's the continuous grants thing that ETH2 uses. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Quadratic funding.
Yes, but there's a specific page that like uses it. Dang it, why can't I remember it? All right, either way, it's a website. I'll have to find it later. Where everybody pools their ether together into a contract that over time gives out ether to a set of participants in a multi-sig based on milestones. So my thinking is we could have one for EIP editors. There's one for ETH2 developers. We could have one for EIP editors. And then people can contribute to that. So that would be a cool thing for organizations to show their support. And like, maybe we could put, oh, that'd be messy. Could we like put their logo on the EIP repo, or is that like corporate sponsorship bullshit?
I don't have preference on the logo side of things. What would be the milestones you had in mind?
Oh, it wouldn't be that complicated. It would just be like being an active EIP editor based on consensus among X number of people or something. I don't know. I'd have to think more about what the milestones would be, but it wouldn't be anything like X number of pull requests handled or anything like that that would have take someone an extended amount of time to actually calculate, because yeah, we don't need to waste time. It might just be like having people decide who deserves the money by consensus or something, or voting.
Some like still not really clear who gets to choose who gets to be EIP editors, or like who would not get funding.
That so
really,
basically,
like,
yeah, we'd have to
it's
just
just
figure
like
out.
figuring that out is going to take some time.
Yeah,
'Cause I
so
would
this is
not
going to
want
be
to
a
do that wrong.
yeah, this would be a longer process, and it would be a cleaning up the EIP editors who are currently on there and kicking people off who aren't active would be step number 1 or 2. And then if we decide to go, if we decide to go that route, it might be complicated to use a brand new thing like that. And then we can go the traditional Gnosis safe with companies who have a voice in deciding where their money goes. Or they can delegate to the EIP editors themselves who to pick among themselves and have like a third neutral party like the Cat Herders. If we can call that a neutral party.
That's some kind of like mechanism for keeping it from being like a lobbying organization. Which we've kind of avoided because no one gets paid for anything.
Yeah,
pretty
it
much.
would. Yeah,
The
that'd be
ultimate
hard.
solution. The ultimate solution. If there's no money to be made, no one will show up.
Yeah, so there would have to be a thing on like if someone's giving money, you can't prioritize their EIPs or something like that, which I think having a
it's possible.
policy.
Just some kind of guard mechanism or like checking and balancing mechanism.
Yeah,
would
this
be
is
good
just
to build into thinking about it.
Today's kind of the kernel of the idea because I've thrown around the idea of funding a few meetings and I want to get moving on it. So I'm actually officially putting it on my to-do list for EIP funding strategy. And so
how about this?
Yeah.
It's a brilliant idea. You guys are gonna love this. So each editor will state the projects they're passionate about, and they're only allowed to be sponsored by people who hate those projects. That way we know there's no conflict of interest. So I can only be sponsored by minors.
It's reverse conflict of interest. Yeah.
That's right.
We're making a new term. Okay, we're groundbreaking again. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'll think on this more. And if you're interested, I'll probably move the discussion to EIP editing in the Discord.
Sounds good.
And that's it for my item.
So yeah, I mean, like we are making quite good progress. We have been discussing about this EIP editors funding for a while, and now that we have some clarity on how we should proceed towards it, I'm excited for it.
Awesome.
That actually concludes all the items listed for today. If anyone has anything else to bring up, we have some time maybe. If not, thank you all for joining us today. The next meeting is in 2 weeks from now. That's on February 10 at 1500 UTC. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, Pooja. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Hudson.
See you later.